From the home of bold, credible and informed interviews, we bring you the indefatigable general himself, Dr. Miguna. Since the dawn of democracy in our republic, we have had fiercely patriotic citizens. J.M. Kariuki, Dr. Robert Ouko, Tom Mboya, Kenneth Matiba, amongst others, but none as relentless as Dr. Miguna. Join us on Tuesday 30th August at 7:30 p.m. as we host the General live on Facebook and YouTube, and follow the conversation on Twitter, #TheTackle with Gerald Bitok, as we dissect matters governance and the rule of law. Mark that day.
All right. Indeed, a very, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us at this edition of The Tackle. It is the 30th of September. August. Ila tarehe August 2022 tarehe 30 mwezi wa 8 mwaka 2022. I hope you're doing well. You're waking up well and you're ready for this edition of The Tackle of 30th August 2022. This is the State of the Nation edition, the Tuesday of 30th August 2022. And if kama umefika kama kawaida, please like when you like. We get to know that you're watching us, and that way, like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. It's another edition. It's another morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a very, very good morning. Please let me know where you're watching us from. Let us know where you're watching us from this morning. Na kama vile umeona vile tumeanza na mchemko leo jioni, pia tuko na Daktari Miguna. Like you've seen the intro that just came in. We'll be having it from 7:30 p.m. all the way to 9:30 for 2 hours. Having a conversation here right here on The Tackle. If you have any questions, tafadhali utaweza kutuma kwa siku ya leo. Asubuhi leo tuko na Mheshimiwa Gloria Orwoba. I'm happy to see you, by the way. Naona utakuwa pale Seneti, utatuambia zaidi. Lakini kama kawaida. It's been a long time going. Hey, Mazemi, wewe, you are one of the people I've seen literally climb up the stairs and work for what you decide. Example of bottom up. Vale, Steve, kuna shida kidogo, Gloria. We get back to you. Steve, angalia microphone ya Gloria. Aya, kama kawaida lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, halafu tukirudi basi tunakuja kuona nani ameweza kuamka. He's not picking up. Chukue. So connect, I think, the cable. Okay. Took me 4. Okay. All right. Gloria, bujaribu hiyo. Tusikie kama uko.
Mic check. Iko sawa?
Yuko chojo. Aya, wacha niombe tukirudi tupe testimony. Baada ya maombi ni kama uko na ushuhuda. Kama ni ya bottoms up. Bottom up. Okay. Tulemeza mtuombe, alafu tukirudi tunakuja kuona nani ameweza kuamka mapema. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive. We thank you for this conversation. Thank you for this morning. Thank you for us an opportunity to see. As we start off with us, when we finish, glory and honor shall come back to your name. For pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Aya, Gloria, kabla sijasalimia wananchi, ulikuwa unanipea testimony.
I'm the example of bottom up. Starting from somewhere and rising. So I know you ulikuwa unasema tulianza na wewe kufanya shows.
Nilikuwa na tukianza Facebook.
Unakumbuka?
Yes, I remember.
And guys were like, hey, that show, nini. But tukangangana too, and I'm actually very proud to see that your show is one of now the leading shows.
Thank you.
That you're even hosting the likes of akina Miguna. Najua by the time Miguna akubali kuchukua show yako.
You've gone international.
You've gone international. Yeah.
And I'm happy to see you as well scaling these heights, because you're one of those people that I actually think deserve what they get, because you go for what you want. You fight out for it. Yeah. Unangangana nao maduma hapa Kisii kwanza ndio unashikana mashati.
Tunapigana, unasukumwa, but then you're like, you know what, this is the industry, that's how it is. Yeah, it's been a long journey.
Yes.
And actually we thank God, because you know, they say that it's not in vain. So zile kazi zote tumekuwa tukifanya na nini, I'm grateful that it appears that I'm going to be on a 5-year internship at the Senate. Naita internship.
Ya kujifunza vile mambo inakaa microphone
kufanya. So that now you can go and get elected. You know, when you are nominated is internship.
How has it been like also being a woman, and I know you were largely not around, and being a woman scaling out and fighting out with men in a political scene, especially in regions that appear to be more of male dominated in terms of authority and leadership. How has it been like for you?
It's been tough.
Ground ilikuwa namna gani?
By the way, imekuwa tough. Yeah, it's been tough. Of course, it's tough everywhere for a woman in politics, yes. But and the dynamics are different. And I don't like sounding like, oh, unajua wanawake and everything. But the reality is that it's tough. You have to fight thrice as hard just to get half of the things that the men get in politics. But I think one of the things is if you're determined to make it in that space, then you'll endure all the stress, you'll endure all the fights, you'll endure matusi, all sorts of things, room 350, all sorts of things. But in the end, if you know what you're aiming for, I think that's the difference. That's what makes you or breaks you. If you are not that determined, utaenda mbali. You already to the violence in itself, watu wanakutumia goons. Yeah, I've had my fellow politicians in Kisii County send me goons. But now when we look at each other, we laugh because most of them hata walizama. So Mungu yuko.
So what are some of the things that you would highlight as some of the really deep challenges that you had?
I think the first challenge is just getting the respect that umejitokeza and you're in this space. When we talk, if today you come out and say you're going to vie for so and so seats, no one will be throwing insults at you, calling you a prostitute, telling you that where uliletwa na nani, we know what you're looking for, it's not the seat. The first issue is actually respect. It's so difficult for people to just respect that kuna mama amejitokeza and they're aiming for this seat. And then the second thing, it's more like once you earn the respect by repeatedly showcasing that you are actually nikiti unatafuta si bwana ama pesa ama nini nikiti unatafuta. When you earn the respect, then what happens is now the bullying starts, because now there's that thing of mama tatuonyesha nini hapa. We can't allow for a woman to come and start taking leadership. And I think once you get past those two, then, and I think that's what makes the women in politics abrasive. They're always on defense mechanism. I never used to understand, like, why are they so bona too, they are not nice the way other, because you always constantly are fighting off people, such that what happens is you develop a defense mechanism. And then that developing the defense mechanism is actually, you build walls such that you're not friendly anymore, because you always assume within that space that someone is coming to attack you. But I think all in all, I can't say, I'll also tell you it's been a good experience. Yeah, because I like challenges, and it was a worthy challenge. Yeah. Okay. It still is a worthy challenge. It's not atujamaliza ndio tunakwambia tumeenda internship. Safari bad. Safari ndio imeanza.
I wish all the very best. Seeing watu wanaanza kuuliza kura ya jana ilikuwa inaenda vipi. Kama tujaenda hapo aje tuone ngono gani wameweza kuamuka kidogo. Please let us know where you're watching us from this morning. When you join, please like. When you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and that please share, and you share, give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. Please let us also know where you're watching us from. Now I'm Emmanuel Suleiman. Good morning, GB. Good morning to you, my brother. Ernest Lagat. Good morning. Good morning to you, Sir John Master. Excellent. Good morning, Lucy Simaya. Good morning. Good morning to you, Ernest Lagat. Good morning, Jogoro Obama, representative Santa Sana Babotiana. Good morning, Abarchile Bokata. Good morning to you, Haemba Wandambusi. Good morning, Gerald, tuned in from the great county of Trans Nzoia. Asante sana to Trans Nzoia. Taida Skip, good morning, GB, live from diaspora. Asante sana Taitu. Kimngatich Denoki, Kiteda, good morning to you, Mazungu Brian Asena. Morning, Nikundani, Kariobangi. Asante. Alex Sagadi Ageyo, good morning to you, Tanya Kibe. Good morning from Arizona. Good to see you, diasporans. And I think, Tanya, is this your first time joining in? I've not seen you before. Karibu sana. Karibu dunia. Barido Muthe, good morning. General Bitok to Locked Narok watching live. Asante. Kiprano Isaiah Mosoni, good morning. Na watch live from Nairobi. Asante. Omwami Bwa Abagusi, tuned in from Kisii, Kenya. Vincent Kiprano watching live from Koita Burot, Kericho County. Good to see you. Watu wa Kericho, asante sana. Eldon Boy, my brother. Good morning. Takol watching from South Korea. Thank you. Good to see you, Eldon. Uliana baka South Korea squeeze. Haya. Ila HBC tuko ndani. Asante. Lucy Simayo. Amen. And Lada Benson tuned in from Arizona. Thank you, diasporans. Kasaizi Kav. Amen. Ilari HBC Nakuru Eco Live. Asante. Milikos, good to see you, my sister. Tuned in as usual. The show cannot be any better than this long live to tackle. The only show where we start with prayer. International show must tune in every day from Western Australia. Good to see you, my sister Milikos. It was a pleasure to have you. Kimoy Ego Sichot, good morning, Gerald. Watching as usual. Show ni moto. Rob Kipto, good morning. Salimia Gloria, mzee wa Aslas. You are an asset. The tackle. God is good. Okay. Kate Shiro, watching. Good to see you, Kate. Isaac Chumba, good morning. Bitok, tell us the results from yesterday election. Results ni Gloria. What the Former University main campus cases? Jama Menokusha, MC Kale, Jambo. Let us be Kosge, USA, Oregon. Asante sana watu wa Oregon. Aunaki terrorism and human trafficking. Huyu sasa inafaa blokiwa haraka. Just also to good morning Gerald, Salimia Gloria and pongezi to watching from Nairobi CBD. Good to see you. Kiptoa Victor, good morning. Tuned in from Mambalan. Mambalan wapi? Mambalan ni Rongai, Nakuru. Good morning Gloria. Sasa Gloria, results zilienda vipi? Pale Mombasa.
Lakini situanze na zile positive kwanza. Can we at least talk about how Mamba at least Ali,
Mamba ilikula jogo.
Exactly. You know we had one task as the Hustler Nation. It is to make sure that easy viti pia watu wajue you can aspire even if you don't have a big name. Sasa maneno ya Dynasty tulikuwa tunasema we want to end it. So congratulations Chebo. I think that's the one thing that we achieved. Uko Mombasa. The positive thing about Mombasa is I have not had the ODM people complaining that their ninis were rigged. Hatujasikia. Also it doesn't mean that you can only when you lose ndio ulirigiwa. Unajua unaweza shinda na useme walirig wamenipunguzia kura. Like kura zangu zingefaa ziwe 70,000 ama 200,000 wamenipunguzia by 10. Why do people assume that you can only complain of rigging when you've lost? So I haven't had ODM saying that walipunguziwa kura. I haven't had them complaining that IBC was not capable of conducting that election simply because they won. Now, what's interesting is when you look at how the results are, if this was just a simple show of how much strength ama the penetration of William Ruto in coasts, that's 44%. And the coast region has always been Raila Odinga's stronghold at 78. I think last time I was 78%.
Yes.
Kura. So you can imagine if for the gubernatorial seats, we were able as UDA, as Hustler, as the people who support William Ruto to garner 44%. So that shows you also the results that ODM is saying is not the results they're actually saying they are not going to accept for the presidential. It's the same pattern with their win in coasts.
Okay.
Unanipata? It is like munakata zile results za presidential and yet the pattern of how people voted is exactly the same with the gubernatorial where you have won and where we have garnered 44%. So as much as, of course, it's disappointing that we didn't get the seat as UDA, for me, it is more important for you to note that we garnered 44% in Coast Region, which is the stronghold of Baba. Now, when you go to Kakamega again, where we did not win, but you look at, again, the margins and the percentages. In Kakamega as well, you can see that UDA and by extension, William Ruto has also infiltrated the stronghold of Raila Odinga. So for me, this is actually, even if we did not have the court proceedings, this is actually like when you kasema litmus test that the results that were generated and that were announced that pronounced our president-elect William Ruto are actually legitimate because the pattern is the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying it was a litmus test for the national election?
And that is how they should look at it. Because if they are not, in fact, if I was ODM and I wanted to keep my case strong right now, I would file a petition stating that as much as we have won in Mombasa, wameniibia kura.
Okay.
So that basically what they'll be saying essentially is, mumetuibia kura. And at this point, at ODM is at 80% or 78% as Baba. But as long as they're saying wako sawa, they walishinda fairly, everything was transparent, because the same pattern is there with the presidential, where we got 40+% in the coast region.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is a good news in the whole story.
There's always a silver lining. There's always a silver lining.
But for looking at Kakamega, I think Kakamega was a better chance for Kenya Kwanza. Given that we have Mudavadi, we have Wetangula, we have Halwale, we had a good number of guys.
You see, the difference there is that you can't bank on a group of people to deliver for you a seat. You as an individual also have to have created a brand that is acceptable to people. And I was one of the people who kind of felt bad when Halwale was told to step down for Malala, because I have been following Halwale for long, and I actually knew that alikuwa ametengeneza ground yake, and he had a bigger margin in terms of the people who accepted him. The older generation, felt confident about him taking the gubernatorial seat. And then we also had the younger people who looked at him as the bullfighter who also. Now, when you come to Malala, he is a strong candidate. But you see, the thing is, you can imagine this was a special election where you actually had a troop of people coming to support you from the party. And what I mean is, all the other governors, for instance, during the normal election, watu walikuwa wanajisimamia, agents unajisimamia, support ni wewe na watu wako kwa ground, kama ni kukupigia debe, maybe once in a while party leader atakuja kupigia debe. But this is a situation where we had special camps sent specifically to campaign for you as an individual and to ensure that you bring it home. So that also tells a lot, that even with all that support, I mean, the margins, he didn't lose vibaya, but assuming then that he did not have that support.
Could have been worse.
You understand? So for me, I think sometimes also let us be very... Hawa ni watu wetu, but in order for us to perform better, we need to criticize some of the things that are out there. I believe that, first of all, as an individual, you have to have a strong brand. And then now, with the support of the party leader, the party machinery, inakupropel. But you cannot be an individual who has not sold your brand to the people and then hope that the party machinery will lift you up. Those days of party politics, zimeisha, and clearly you can see that. That's also why in some areas you have independent candidates winning, because their brand is strong enough to stand on its own. Yeah. So I think this is just an issue of maybe the other candidate, I'm not... Kakamega is not my home, so I cannot go down into the local politics. But judging from my experience and even trying to analyze that situation is, first, as an individual, people must believe in you. And then we bring in the party machinery. But if people don't believe in you as an individual, ata tukileta nani, it's not going to go through. It's the same thing with Raila Odinga. If people don't have such confidence in you as an individual, even if you have the backing of the state, the backing of the system, the backing of the sitting president, the backing of international community, the people will still reject you. So for me, I think that is the lesson. But for the numbers, we've done well, because ODM is not complaining, and those percentages are the exact percentages, or rather, more or less the percentages we garnered on the presidential. So it means that the results that were announced, and that basically they have actually wameturaba stampia that hakuna kitu wameenda kotini kufanya.
So you are losing honorably. You are saying we have accepted, we have lost.
You have to accept also. You have to accept. We are not the type of people who, when you lose, you are always running to court, because it can only be free and fair when you win.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Amesema amekubali, Gloria amesema you accept and move on.
In any case, Hassan and Malala make really good ministers and PSs. Unajua hii serikali ni yetu. Yeah. So
but what I find interesting is earlier yesterday, the Azimio Brigade started claiming that it was being rigged.
Oh, so, is that so?
Yes, they were
for Kakamega or Mombasa or both?
Kakamega aswa.
For Kakamega.
They were saying, ikitu bwana kinaibiwa.
Na sasa venye wameshinda. You see, that's the problem with people who just imagine that if they are losing, they've been rigged. You can't just imagine that you've lost. Like you're a candidate and people have actually rejected you. You know? Yeah.
Watu wakubali matokeo. The pre-trial begins today at the Supreme Court of Kenya, and I'm saying the Supreme Court has thrown out Moses Kuria's case and was seeking to throw out Raila's petition, Raila's suit. And there's an admission of Cherera and the 4 commissioners. The affidavits, they're done. It has been admitted Moses Kuria has been thrown out. And the biggest question Moses Kuria was bringing out is you cannot come to equity with dirty acts, saying, you guys, you participated in electoral malpractices, you cannot come again and seek justice in the same court. What do you expect from the Supreme Court as it starts the pre-trial today?
You know, first of all, mawakili wanafaa wakuje watu explainie pre-trial ni nini, alafu trial itakuwa nini. You know, for us Kenyans, what we are waiting for is the judgment, so we know two things, siku ya judgment na siku ya swearing in. Kama mimi sasa ni nguo natengeneza ya September 13th, junajua 13th ni swearing in. Yeah, after the judgment is going to uphold the
victory.
Yeah, the victory of William Ruto. But my take is this about the cases. We have seen so many things happening in the last 3 days, actually. We've seen video recordings being released. You know, some of the people didn't have the privilege to actually survey the CCTV from Bomas, where it was clear that we are calling them the coup plotters, actually went to Bomas to try, you know, and subvert the will of the people. And all that information now is out with the public, for the public to consume, and for the court of public opinion to make their own judgment. And one of the things that came out immediately after all that information now was being released to the public is that suddenly, even the Azimio people started realizing and publicly pronouncing, you know. I had someone saying, David Osiani mahali uko jifiche, you know, like to them it was also a realization. You mean these guys have just been telling us tunaibiwa, but the truth of the matter is that we lost, and actually these are the people who messed us up. You've seen the likes of Mutai coming out and saying that, you know, the secretariat that is, the Azimio secretariat that is sitting in so and so place should go home because you are the ones who have failed us. We have seen after that, the chief agent coming out and publicly stating that indeed they didn't have agents. As the chief agent of that campaign, he is actually pronouncing that they messed up so badly that they did not have agents. And in any case, so if you didn't have agents, how do you have a case in court to prove that you are rigged? Because the people who can actually give you enough evidence to substantiate your claims is the agent.
Yes.
Now, when we've seen Githongo retracting his affidavit and stating that actually, now come to think of it,
ilikuwa test.
Ilikuwa test. Haikuwa the actual nini. Lakini in any case, you're seeing people backtracking because they've also realized they have been duped into believing that, you know, this thing was not free and fair. But now, because there's such strong evidence to prove and showcase that indeed state machinery was actually being used to try and subvert the will of the people, ndio unaona watu wanaanza kujitoa pole pole. I understand allegedly there was a meeting in State House that was supposed to be held on the day that Mtiambani said yeye ni mgonjwa, please ameenda check up, mwache kumsumbua. You understand? So suddenly everyone does not want to be involved in that thing because they are also starting to realize this thing, by the way, is not a joke like you guys were thinking. This thing, we can end up even being, you know, held liable throughout even after the judgment is out. So guys are actually like, what? You mean you guys were not even, you don't even have evidence to show ABCD? You mean you guys don't even understand how cases are supposed to be won in court? You mean people all this time you are just, you know, operating on hearsay? So watu wanaanza kujitoa. We've even seen leaders from Luo Nyanza going for handshakes in Karen. That is how much confidence they have in the president-elect. Okay. You understand? And then one thing that I asked, and I keep asking I have a lot of friends, by the way, in ODM, and that is healthy because it shows that democracy is democracy. Tutakosana because we're in different camps. Yes. And every time they were like, unajua, you people, you know, this thing, tutafuatilia. I asked them, you have such passion. How come your governors did not refuse to be sworn in with the same claims? Because if I was Orengo, and I'm actually representing my party leader, who, by the way, ameibiwa kura, should have been the president, I would be like, mimi, swearing in yangu, hamtanifanyia until we are sure that these elections were free and fair. So you want to tell me the elections for Orengo were free and fair, but in that same place for his party leader, they were not free and fair. I mean, those elections were held in the same polling stations. They were overseen by the same agents. It is the same presiding officers who came back with the results. The only difference is for the presidential, it was Form 34, and for the gubernatorial, it's Form 37. So how is it possible that the governors for Azimio were okay to be sworn in? And they are saying, mimi nilishinda legitimately, EBC was okay, they performed their duties well, but venye ilikuja tu kwa presidential ndio hapo in the same polling station agent polling station palimini ilipata let's say kura 350 lakini baba alipata kura 100 zangu zilikuwa sawa lakini za baba venye naona ni kama aliibiwa. So you know, for me even just a basic understanding like that, first of all, those governors should have all said that until we are sure that IEBC did not mess up with any numbers of any of these elections, we are not going to be sworn in. Because the same system that declared you a winner is the same system that declared your party leader a loser at the same exact elections. So you have an issue when you can take some of the results and reject, you know, the other results. And then another thing is, anytime you speak to an Azimio supporter who claims waliibiwa, I always ask them, so muliibiwa ngapi Kisii, for instance? Yeah. Juu mimi nikikwambia tuliibiwa, I'll be telling you, by the way, tuliibiwa, nilikuwa nasimamia Nyanza, pale Migori, tuliibiwa this much, and I can tell you because niko na hii form 34A, na sina hii form, you understand? Yes. But then you can't just come out and say uliibiwa. Okay, uliibiwa ngapi? You didn't have a tally center. So you don't even know uliibiwa. So even if it comes out that uliibiwa, lafu wambiwe, actually tunaona uliibiwa kura 500. It doesn't make a difference. You have to be able to say, here's our tallying center, here our Form 34 is, here our carbon copy. And because of the carbon copies and from our tallying center verified by ABCD processes, tuliibiwa kura 300,000, and that is why you guys have been declared the winner. So the narratives are not, they're not adding up, and they're not sincere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me look at the comments here very quickly as we turn to Dominic Messenger watching live from Kisii, Peva Charge, Richoko. Hey, Rio Choki.
I know him. That's Pefa.
Kwa kanisa Pefa. Unasema Rio Choki.
Rio Choki.
Sasa salimia Mama Gloria. Amos Kibruto. Hey, yana kwa ground wanaita yana dogo kama hii.
No. Mimi ni Mama Jamin. My friend, kijana wangu wako almost 15 years. So, heshima idumu.
Haya, pole Mama Gloria. Good morning, Jimmy, tuning in from South Sea Center sana. Prince Eko Ario, good morning from Nigeria. Good to see you again from Nigeria as well. Dennis Wafula watching live from Malindi, thank you. Dennis, haters because I've actually followed your commentary for a while, and I'm glad. Continue bringing in those great minds. Thank you so much. Nyaluke Kibet, good morning, watching live from Baringo. Watu wa Baringo Sante. MC Kala nasema, who commands majority in parliament? Or rather, where will majority and minority leaders come from? Do you have the numbers for majority, minority?
You know, we were hoping that we would further get more numbers to be sure of this majority. But for the Senate, we have majority.
I think it's also for Parliament. I think
for National Assembly, we also have majority.
Yes, but governorship...
Gubernatorial, I think sasa hii kitu ya jana siko sure.
It's tilted by 2 now. It's now tilted by 2.
It's tilted by 2?
Yes, yeah.
So the Council of Governors ndio... kuna kizungumkuti.
Okay.
Yeah, but otherwise we UDA has the majority in Senate and National Assembly. Yeah.
And I think also the County Assembly.
And also remember, outside of our own numbers, most of the independent, those who are elected independent actually came and joined UDA. Yeah, when these guys were busy filing court cases without any evidence, as we were busy consolidating the independent candidates out there so that they could join our camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, is it for you, MC Kalia? Chipto Chuma, good morning from UG County, good to see Chipto. Are you ready for Canaan? And what was Azimio? Okay. My friend, are you ready for Canaan? Please, you're spamming us with comments. Chunga kidogo tunaweza kublock. Arab Tano ikiwa za watini usual from Mandera base. I'm good to see you guys from Mandera. Dikachiba, good morning, GB. Good morning to you. Dr. Fanny Kwat. And now suddenly, Azimio trust IBC. So IBC is only righteous when they win. Okay. Koita, Kakamega and Mombasa was going to ODM. Okay. Nyasgoya Roba is one of the most Nyams. You pussy with these silly comments that you
No,
guys
sema tu democratic rights. Ama hiyo tu.
See, there's some level of decorum. There are things I cannot do doubt. Don't get you in a quarter of the day. That risk in your life. If you win, you lead. If you lose, you can guide. Good morning. Enjoy your day. Good bro. Asante sana. Festus Maritim. Following from Nairobi. Edgar Okelo. Okay. Jeram Hayamba. Azimio are always insecure. I hate how they reason. How I wish they should start using their own intellectual reasoning and using the party leader's brain. Okay. You know, Morefu. Daniela Koto. Good to see you. Aaron Maina Mwangi. Azimio guys a bunch. Okay. Bunch of hypocrites. Okay. Aaron Maina Mwangi. Kitendawili. MC Adrian as mambo ya leo ni ngumu. Sirabi Ondasa boys Migona is coming in at 7 p.m. tonight. Migona will be in from 7:30 p.m. tonight. Simeon Samuelson Tiga, hey, good morning. I propose my regards to your panelists watching live from Pinky City 032 Nax Girl. Okay. Ndabantu Karane ni ajara bitok tukiwa pale Square. We talked. I'm requesting you to also invite us in your show. Karibuni sana. Festus Maritim wapi Migona 7:30 p.m. tonight ndio atakuwa anaingia. Okay. Hey, YouTube naona kumechacha pia. Okay, Mari Chalaga, good morning, watching live from Westlands, asante. Emmanuel Kipsang, Pat Wait, good morning. Butali W, morning brother Bitok. Niulizia Roba mbona alinikataa na zina ubaya. Mbona unakataa watu? Mbona unatesa boy child?
Huyu ni nani kwanza?
Anajiita Butali.
Hey. Mapenzi ya by force.
Again, Unlimited, good morning to you, Justina Wamae. Morning team, good to see you. Justina, by the way, will be in tomorrow. Justina Wamae, that is a deputy party leader. The running mate for Roots Party will be in tomorrow morning from 7:30 a.m. Justina Wamae, good morning team kubwa, niko locked na kesho majaliwa tupatane papa hapa. Kesho tuko nawe Justina hapa kwa hapa. Equalizer Zone, good morning, watching live from Westlands. Team Kangara, great to see Bob Njagi back from Hibernation. He is back, amerudi lakini sijui kwa amekuwa hapa barabarani. Matasho, Justina, my favorite waiting. Isaac Chumba, I think we have played the tune Mombasa and Kagamega. So limited, what happened to Miguna? 7:30 p.m. Johnson Chelimo, this show is late. Asante sana Isaac Chumba, thanks. And about MPs. MPs Kenya Kwanza is still maintaining the majority, so let's wait. For West Pokot, I think Kenya Kwanza lost it.
Yeah.
To KUP.
Walisema wanataka local parties.
Local siasa. So also Kenya Kwanza UDA. UDA also lost West Pokot. Okay. Dickens Gloria Orwoba is speaking facts. No Tarling Center. Stop bringing claims. Okay. Nixon keeps watching live from Bomet. Meditelagat Malala and Omar. There is another day, brothers. Antonedil Kasano. Yani hapa the UDA alone. Waiting for Bomjagi. Mathin Kangara. Orwoba is truly a newbie in Kenya politics. How do you say Malala has lost? Atina kidogo tu. There's no number 2 in politics. Sibulikata BBI. Okay. I'll tell you from
there is number 2 in politics. There is a number 2. That's why we go for elections. There's number 2, 3, 4 mpaka number 13.
Lazima kukuwa na namba 2 mpaka mwisho. Kipyegon Jeremy discussed the issue of lawyers allocated 4 against those 20 who want route of victory nullified. They said 4 per case, I think. 4 per case. But anyway, kesho we'll try to bring in wakilis tomorrow. We start and analyze these things so that we can get the facts right. San Kips, also good morning Kenyans back at home. Glad to catch up with these great minds. Asante sana San Kips. Atticus now, Antonel Casano, all are welcome here. All are express their views. Here Bitok allows freedom of expression. Keep tuned and you'll see. Asante sana Atticus now all the way from the United Kingdom. Thank you for always standing in for the tackle. San Kips, let Azimio table their numbers. Conspiracy theory Azimio don't add up. Atticus now the tackle. Good morning, General. Good morning to my brother Jamal Mohammed Nangoja Miguna guy is good. 7:30 p.m. tonight. Jensen Chelim watching from Dubai. Show is awesome. Atticus now Miguna is coming home. Camel of eye water. Okay. You can get members of parliament is better than governors. Atticus now, good morning. Gloria Apokwa studio here. The tackle. Good morning and good to see you. And remember, you can still support us. If you're on YouTube and you need to support us, you can click on the stickers. When stickers up, when you click on some of the stickers, just look at the comment section when you're about to comment. After the emoji, there is a $sign. So if you wish to support us, you can click on the $sign and you can send in a sticker all the way from 500 shillings to 5,000 Kenyan shillings. And you can always send double. If you want to send even 100,000, you can click until 30. But if you can 100,000, in worst case scenario where a ruling is made and they say, oh guys, this electoral process was bogus. What are the chances?
Do you know, I don't want to discuss that because there is the worst case scenario of this particular ruling is that the election will be upheld. That's the worst case scenario.
No,
because you know the thing is, you have to also consider the evidence that has been submitted to court. Then you also, me hata si wakili, but you know, in my small experience of having been in those spaces, you also have to look at the angle at which, when now you're being asked, nyinyi munasema nini? Tunasema tulirigiwa. Okay, mulirigiwa. Aya. Then muko na zile form 34 kuonyesha yenyewe the things that were actually in the system are not the carbon copies of your agents. No, hatuna hizo, but kuna wale watu walishikwa Venezuelans. So tunajua like I think walikuwa wanajaribu kufanya kitu. Okay, walikuwa wanajaribu kufanya kitu. Muko na evidence yenye ile kitu walikuwa wanajaribu kufanya. No, hatuna, but we are almost certainly sure. Now then, can you say that is the basis we are discussing, that in the worst case scenario, if this election is annulled, we can't discuss, there's no room to discuss that, you know, a Supreme Court of that nature with that capacity can actually annul this election based on the things that have been submitted. When you even look at the affidavits that are there, if anything, these petitions, what they have done is that they have exposed Azimio and their rogue agents and their rogue people. It is actually doing more harm to them than it is doing any good to them. Okay. For instance, Kenyans would not have known about these certain individuals who went to try and convince Chebukati and the commissioners that if you don't announce Raila Odinga, then this country will ban. We wouldn't have known that. The only reason we know that now is because Chebukati has come out and said, by the way, you guys who are claiming that I rigged the election, you are aware that this election was won fairly by William Ruto, to the extent that there were coup plotters who were sent to me to ask me to make sure that I do not announce William Ruto, who was the winner, because they were calling it a matter of national security. So we wouldn't have known those things. We only know those things now because Azimio went to court. We wouldn't have even known the presence of those individuals in Bomas if these guys didn't go to court. Because if at that moment William Ruto was declared the winner na kila mtu akubali Raila Odinga angesimama mahali apatiane concession speech, who would have known all those things? We wouldn't have been subjected to now start zooming in to Gladys Wanga, Governor Gladys Wanga's videos, akipiga watu wa IEBC, if these guys never went to court. If these guys never went to court, it would have been like, tunasikia Wanga alileta nini uko Bomas. But now we are actually zooming in to confirm, indeed, that is Governor Gladys Wanga participating in illegalities, actually bringing violence to the Tallying Center, and should be held accountable. So it has done more harm to them than it has brought any good to them. And in the end, if it's because of their petition and our responses and our, pushback to try and showcase to the electorate that these things are lies, it is because of that even Kenyans, ODM followers and Baba followers have realized, yani kuna watu walikula tu pesa za agents. Yani agents hajalipwa kwa sababu kuna mtu tu alikaa mahali Junet fulani akakula pesa za agents. They wouldn't have known that. Okay. We actually had to ensure that we respond to an extent that we push them to a corner such that their national chief agent would come on national TV and say, as a matter of fact, we messed up. We didn't have agents. Okay. Yeah. So this petition has actually done more harm to them than it has done any good to them. And I think that is the beauty of serving a living God. Because, wanasemanga, all weapons formed against you shall not prosper. Instead, they will be used to highlight your goodness, to highlight your righteousness, and to highlight the justice that people should know has been served. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So I don't know as well, Nanchi, what do you expect? What do you expect coming in from the Supreme Court ruling today? If you wish to give us an insight of what you think would happen, and in a case that we will go back to a re-election or a rerun, what are the chances that we can have between Kenya Kwanza and as well and Azimio? Could the status quo stand? Or Azimio are set to tilt in the numbers? Not sure though. Bunge pia iko wazi 0779-800-010. Bunge liko wazi 0779-800-010. Bunge liko wazi 0779-800-010. Gloria pia akona engagement mahali, so we'll be releasing her in the next 10 minutes. So if you want to contribute, you can call in 0779-800-010. 0779-800-010. Bob NJAGI is still MIA, and alikuwa anasema 10 minutes. Naona sasa inafika 8:30. Watu wazimio nayo sijui wanakuanga na kazi.
Alafu watasema tuliwarige.
Vingine pia hata mimi nashinda kudeal na watu.
Bob, we are waiting for you in studio, wherever you are.
Bob, 10 minutes.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Now it's 8:30. Anyway, let's look at the newspapers. The Daily Nation, the back stops here. Anapo Chebukati. They're seeing Chebukati there. They got the back stops at Chebukati. I don't know why they picked that picture. Of all the pictures that they could pick. The Supreme Court will, for the next 5 days, starting today, be a theater of a political and legal showdown like no other, as the deeply fractured Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission fights to save its credibility in the root of Israeli election dispute. And whatever the judges decide will stand out. Wafula Chebukati had a war chest of more than shillings 40 billion to conduct free and fair and credible elections, and the very fate of the country was placed in his hands. Did he deliver? Page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. If you wish to read that story, then you can go to page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. Deadly search for water. Healthy nation. Lorot 13 left home in search of water for his family's livestock amid the biting drought and returned with a gunshot wounds. What's worse, his elder brother and neighbors never made it back. It's sad. I mean, imagine that we're reading these things in a country like Kenya that is almost 60 years old is another story. Chaos and low voter turnout in Kakamega, Mombasa elections. And that is something that we also need to look at, Gloria.
The voter turnout.
Yes, I mean, the fact that people don't care anymore to come out and vote. The Standard Security Chiefs fight. Paul Dringing claims. Head of Public Service who chairs the National Security Organ tells Apex Code they were worried about tensions building in the country due to delays in announcing results and not the outcome when they approached IBC. Raila also says Chebukati and Ruto have failed to counter allegations of interference. Okay, love of the turnout worries election observers. We're seeing here a picture of Abdul Samad and Hassan thereabouts in Mombasa. Sakaja kicks out KRA from county revenue collection. Allah? Okay. Sakaja has kicked out. Sakaja amebia KRA warudi kambi. And also yesterday he ordered the release of border borders which had been impounded.
Yes.
And
the restriction of the restriction of the mkokotinis in town.
Why?
Yeah. No, he's working. He's not overworking, he's working.
Russia China to World War Games. Ajua zile mchezo zinaendelea dunia hii nyingine. Huko Russia na China they'll be testing the equipment kupigana ile ya testing. Why it is favorite for athletes as on the Standard. Ruto lockout IBC for commissioners. President-elect asked Supreme Court to expunge affidavits from commissioners who fell out with their chairman. Okay. Which other newspaper do you have? Looking at Taifa Leo. The People Daily says okay. Okay. Taifa Leo macho yote kwao. Kesi ya urais kuanzia leo, macho ya Wakenya yanaelekezwa kwa majaji 7 wa mahakama ya upeo wanapoanza kusikiza kesi ya kupinga kutangazwa kwa Rais Ruto kuwa rais mteule. Pande husika zimetoa madai ya kila aina, kumaanisha majaji watakuwa na kibarua kigumu kutofautisha kati ya ukweli, porojo na uongo ili kuamua kesi hiyo kwa haki bila ushawishi kutoka nje. Ukurasa wa pili wa Taifa Leo, tunaona pale kutakuwa na Martha Koome, kutakuwa na pia Judge Philomena Mwilu, pale kuna Isaac Lenahola, pale pia kuna Justin Smokin Wanjala na Jaji Mohamed Ibrahim, na pia kuna Jaji William Ohuko na Jaji Njoki Ndungu. That would be I think a 7 bench. Yeah, should be a 7 bench. Majaji wa 7 kuamua kesi. Haya, wachache wapiga kura Kakamega. And the People Daily CJ judges to petition rules preliminary ruling Supreme Court to announce itself on key issues in Raila case ahead of pre-trial conference. And the events 7 bench judges as well as William Ruto there, Chebukati and Raila Odinga. Law for the turnout mass delayed elections as Barasa Nasir take early lead. Why more men are pushing trolleys when shopping? Okay. Story again. Lot of low voter turnout, Gloria. What is the issue?
I don't know. You know, I know that people are blaming Kenyans that when you guys don't care anymore, you should have come out and voted. But again, you know, there is a repercussion of the elections being postponed because there's that one day where everyone knows we are going to vote for all our leaders and we are going. And I know that sometimes it can, even for that one day, for the main election, some people even still have to be pushed. Now imagine coming back to say, it is zile zingine tulivote, sasa kuna hii moja yenye ilibaki, kujeni. There is some level of fatigue, not necessarily physically, but guys are like, already kuna watu wengine kotini, nini, it's like, just leave us alone. We just need you people to bring some sort of development into this country. So to some extent, I sort of resonate with those who didn't come out to vote, but it's unfortunate because they should know that not coming out to vote is actually going to further aggravate them in terms of now the decisions that will be made in leadership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob Njagi.
Yes, John.
Najua watu viongozi wanafai kuna lala hapa unafika. 8:30.
Yeah, we've been busy preparing our final submissions for today. And that's why I'm a bit late. I'm sorry.
You're not a bit late. You're very late.
Well, yes.
1 hour late is not a bit late.
Yeah, we had to finalize some presentations to the court this morning. And that's why the slight delay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here. And nice to meet you again, Gloria. Yes.
You need to apologize to the viewers.
Yes.
Kitu wangi yangu ni wananchi.
Ni kweli. Na ningependa kuomba msamaha kwa wasikilizaji wote, manake leo tumekuwa pale kwenye Supreme Court. Hapo ndio nimetangulia asubuhi. Nilikuwa nifike kwa masaa, lakini pole kwa kuchelewa.
Okay. So what do you expect? What are some of the issues that you're raising in court, since you're saying you're a petitioner as well? What are some of the issues that you're raising before the Supreme Court?
Gerald, we have raised this issue severally before. With IEBC. We have an issue with IEBC as independent candidates who are locked out of the presidential elections. Okay. We had over 49 presidential aspirants who were cleared by the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties. But thereafter, IEBC came down with what we are calling now impugned regulations. They gave a notice on the 5th of April that all independent candidates were required to produce ID cards and photocopies of IDs. This is a matter which we felt that was discriminative on the part of independent candidates because those who are in political parties were not expected to do the same. So we moved to court very urgently as a matter of, under certificate of urgency, and we filed a petition in the High Court on the 13th of April. The matter was heard and determined by the court, and those regulations were quashed and found to be unconstitutional. We expected IBC to then open up to open up the ballot and allow independent presidential candidates to vie. But what IBC did, they circumvented that by going to the Court of Appeal to appeal that decision. And unfortunately, up to today, they have never presented any case to the Court of Appeal. So what they did was to frustrate independent candidates from getting onto the ballot. And that explains what you call the voter apathy, or rather voter suppression. We are talking about 8 million Kenyans not being able to vote either for the 4 presidential candidates who are there. It means that perhaps either they did not have representation on the ballot and they chose to abstain from the ballot. What we are saying is that we need to open up these presidential elections once again and allow independent candidates to be on the ballot as a right. These regulations that were used by IBC to nominate the 4 presidential candidates were found to be unconstitutional. That is Regulation 24C, 26C, 28C, and 36C of the Elections General Regulations. Now, in effect, if these rules are unconstitutional, it therefore means that the candidates who are on the ballot were nominated irregularly. So our argument to the court is not on the numbers. We are arguing on the basis of the process. And remember, an election is not an event.
Your argument is qualitative.
Qualitative. An election is not an event, it's a process. And therefore, if the nomination process was found to be faulty, then the outcome of that election also is null and void. In that sense, we are asking the court to look at this petition number E160 of 2022 which was ruled by Justice Mrima. And unfortunately, after that ruling, the judge was transferred to Kitale, which we think was very political. But be it as it may, the ruling stands, and therefore this election is null and void.
The election is null and void. Okay, speak to us about the Kakamega and Mombasa by-election. Elections, actually elections, not by, before we come back.
Oh, yes,
okay.
Kakamega.
The results, Azimio took in Kakamega, also took in Mombasa. I don't know. What's your take?
I think that, for me, was expected.
Okay.
Azimio, and by Azimio, I mean ODM had won the women rep. They had won the senatorship in Mombasa. And about all the MPs. So I could see the trend would go all the way to the governorship. In Kakamega, I was expecting, probably that is where I thought there would be a very, very tight race, being that we've seen the politics in Western Kenya. But again, being that traditionally that seat has been held by the ODM side, I think they had a bit of upper hand going into the election. The governor, the immediate governor, is the deputy party leader of ODM. I think had a lot of influence in that election. So the results as they come in, I think they are as they are. I think ODM might win this, both seats. But again, this speaks to the what we are calling the inability of IBC to handle a free and fair election. You see, an election ought to be held on the second Tuesday of every August in every 5 years, right? So why would it be that Mombasa and Kakamega did not hold elections where other counties held elections? This to me speaks to the incompetency of IBC and actually builds to our argument that the election was not free and fair. So for me, I think what we should be asking ourselves is, why didn't we have Mombasa and Kakamega on the ballot on the same day as other Kenyans? They were denied their right. Look at the voter turnout. The serious voter apathy. As a result of what? The voters being disenfranchised. That's what we are talking about. The issue here is IEBC. Yes.
All right. Gloria, as we let you go, any last remarks that you want to make?
I think it is not fair to say that, because unless you've not been in this country, you know why the Mombasa gubernatorial elections were postponed. There were so many cases, and the same people actually who are asking why were those elections postponed were the same people involved in all the cases that they were bringing that actually slowed down some of the processes and the legalities of now either gazetting the candidates or ensuring the candidates are on the ballot or not on the ballot. In Mombasa, you know, we had the issue of Sonko. Back and forth. He was in court, he was vying, he was not vying, he was, you know, there was, and IEBC, for having to accommodate every Kenyan's rights, had to ensure that depending on how that ruling went, we are actually going to gazette all the candidates or, you know, ensure this person is not on the ballot. So we know why those were postponed. Okay. And the same goes for Kakamega. And I think it's very unfair because, you know, before elections, you'd note that the Azimio side kept on bombarding IEBC with all sorts of court cases, all sorts of demands, all sorts of things. We should do this before you print, you should do, you know, and then that, you know, slowing the processes and ensuring that there's a lot of confusion. And then in the interest of being accommodated by IEBC, they then come back and say, actually now you are, you know, going against our rights, and now why have you postponed this and that? So really, it's when you look at the issues that are being brought, I have not been a manager of elections in that capacity, but I have gone down in history, and it's not the first time that elections have been postponed. Maybe the nature of now the seat, gubernatorial, is why people are like, why is this being postponed? But in the previous election, we had MPs who, National Assembly seats that were actually postponed. The elections were postponed because of one reason or the other. Same thing that we've seen in Rongai and all the other seats, the 4 MP seats that were being, the election was conducted yesterday. So IEBC is actually allowed legally and constitutionally to postpone an election with basis. So I don't think that is a question we should ask, because by the time they even do that, you'll notice that this time around IEBC was making sure that in every single process of the election, because of the precedents that was set in past petitions, particularly petitions that were actually put out by Raila Odinga himself, IEBC was very careful to ensure that by the time we are done with this election, you are not going to find any legal loophole to take us to court. Which is the reason now, when you look at every single angle that they are trying to say, if it's about having the manual register. Remember, that was an issue. They were back and forth in court. We must have the manual register. The same guys who conducted party primaries with a digital register were pushing that they wanted a manual register, because we knew, of course, if it's about rigging and what they have been participating in before, the manual register is what would have aided them. In the end, IEBC actually had a manual register, but to ensure that it was not going to be misused, they, truncated some of the information. So when you look at every single process, from voter sensitization, from registration of new voters, to transfer of voters from one place to another, to coming down to even the presiding officers, back to the polling stations, the new polling stations, gazetting the new polling stations, IEBC, because of the fact that they knew the history of the candidate that they were dealing with, the candidate here being Raila Odinga, who runs to court for every single election, 6 elections later. Because of the fact that they knew this is a person who's going to go to court, they ensured that the processes of the election were guided by the law and were constitutional, to an extent that now you can see the case that Raila Odinga has presented, they cannot even prove anything. It's like we were rigged. How? Someone tried to enter IEBC system. Bring the proof. They can't. Oh, there was an issue about polling stations, Did you have agents? No, we didn't have agents. So, ile kona wanaenda kila mahali, because also, history has proven that if you are an unfair rogue player, and you've done it for 6 election cycles, on the 7th election cycle, hata IEBC wamekujua. So pia hao wanakuchunga. Tuko tu bumper to bumper. Hata sisi candidates wengine tuko like, mtu si atenda kotini. I can tell you for a fact that the reason we ensured that we had polling station agents in every single polling station as UDA, one was to guard the votes so that no one tries to rig that election from us. 2 was to ensure that in the event that Raila Odinga wakes up and says in Bondo that ABCD happened in this polling station, we have a polling station agent in Bondo who will come with the carbon copy paper of the 34A. So because we had anticipated this, there's nothing new about this. Raila Odinga goes for elections. He starts accusing the referees of all sorts of things. Like now he was saying that these elections that were carried out yesterday, that Chebukati should have not been, should have not been in charge of it, that Cherera should have been in charge on it. He wants to be he is a candidate, he wants to be the player, he wants to dictate the referee, he wants to dictate how the electorate must react to the referee. And then on top of that, when the results come, he wants to say, no, those are not the results. In fact, mi ndio niko na results, na mi ndio nimeshinda. So at the end of the day, we know this guy, we know the history. History has proven that he will always go to court unless you give him a win. And so all of this was expected. And lucky enough, you can see that is why hii kesi imekuwa ngumu kwao, because they cannot prove anything. They didn't have a tallying center to begin with. And all the allegations that they're throwing, actually everything has started to become slippery. We have an Azimio agent going on record stating that part of the evidence that Azimio produced in the form of a Form 34A is fake. An Azimio agent. You understand? Their agent saying, actually, apana, hiyo kitu mume submit ni fake. So at the end of it all, it is, and I'm okay with this happening, because I kept on telling people, Kenyans, calm down. This is not just any operation. This is a surgical operation to ensure that finally we are going to send Raila Odinga home permanently. You understand what I mean? So by the time you're sending a person who has gone through 6 election cycles complaining that anaibiwa, of course it's not going to be easy. Of course it's not going to be. We want by the time he goes home, hakuna mahali pengine ataenda kesi ingine kufanya. Yani itakuwa imeisha, ako Bondo, and we are done with that part of our political history. Yeah.
All right. I wish you all the very best.
Asante sana, thank you for having me. Unfortunately, I have to leave early.
Understand.
But always a pleasure. And, tengenezeni nguo zenu. September 13th, we are going to swear in William Ruto. That is a promise I am giving to the Kenyan people.
Unajua sasa hakuna pesa. Ukiniambia nisione suti alafu ikuwa hasara tutakosana.
Shoneni suti, kwani mtaenda kuswear in nani mwingine? Who else are you going to swear in? The president elect is William Ruto. There's only going to be one swearing in ceremony for the president elect, like even legally. There's no one else who's going to be sworn in anytime soon other than William Ruto. So wewe tengeneza jacket ya hilo.
Jacket ya hilo, lakini mimi siwezi vaa jacket ya hilo kwa sababu mimi ni dependent navaa ya yellow plus blue
na mwanze kuzoea.
Nikichanganya yellow na blue inakuwa nini?
Yeah.
Nikichanganya yellow na blue kale inakuwa gani?
Yellow and blue ni green.
Ni green. Ndavaa green.
Before you let this beautiful lady go, I think I want to admire how she presents herself, and I want to say this live. Gloria, you're one of the people I look forward to having a show together with all the time we meet with you.
Thank you.
Very objective, very informative, and well articulating your issues.
I think I need that sound bite.
You need that sound. You love it. Yeah. You love it. But also even before she goes, this question, Gloria. Now, how can we be cherry picking what is fair and credible and what is not? You are saying gubernatorial is fine, it is fair and free. MP fair and free. No. This one is not fair and free. I mean, who gives us the freedom of the democracy of cherry picking what is fair and not fair within the same process?
Yeah, I think just to just to comment on that, what is fair, what is free, is subject to those who are, the participants. The political process is very partisan. If Gloria speaking, definitely she will speak from her side of view. So I think in this instant is that the courts are the ones that are supposed to be able to come in between and arbitrate on such issues. It is the right of every Kenyan to challenge any election outcome, whether it's an MCA, MP, governor. We have seen that rigging happens at different levels, Gerald. You could find an area where an MP has been rigged out, but is not connected to another area where a governor has been also rigged out. So I would say that is why we have a separation of where we go to arbitrate. In the presidential election, you can only go to the Supreme Court. And for the others who are feeling as if they were not given a fair opportunity, they have the High Court to address their issues. In this particular instance, we are all focused on the presidential election. I would like to say that we are reading from different scripts with Gloria, to the effect that we are not, as Free Kenya movement, challenging the outcome of the election. We're not saying that William Ruto did not win, and we're not saying Raila Odinga did not lose. All right? What we are saying is that IBC faulted in the process, and we are challenging the process as it is. And we have a very good case, and I believe that Petition 9 of 2022 is actually the strongest petition in this process of the Supreme Court. We should be there to be given directions this morning, and we hope that we shall get our chance to make our case. At the end of the day, Gerald, we are all building a better jurisprudence for this country. The Supreme Court is a court of it has a final word. If it looks at the cases and declares William Ruto the president, then Kenyans have to respect the wishes of that court. And also, if they decide that this election was not credible, neither was it accountable, nor was it free, neither fair, then that will be the case. What we are asking ourselves now, assuming, because the Kenyans are saying, if the court nullifies the election, what next for Kenyans? Those are the questions we should be asking ourselves. In terms of, if it goes the positive way, William Ruto will be sworn in. If it goes the other way, it means that we are going back to an election. Is it going to be a runoff? Is it going to be a recount? Is it going to be a fresh election? Those are now the issues at play in the Court of Appeal, in the Supreme Court, sorry. As speaking as a chairman of the coalition of independent candidates, our interest is in a total nullification of this election, a fresh election to be called within the timeframes that will be set out in the Constitution, and the ballot should be opened up for independent candidates to participate in that election. Gerald, the independence was created by this Constitution in 2010. And it foresaw a situation whereby Kenyans might not want to choose those who are in political parties. And that's why it created a space for independence. It is so wrong for IBC and the chairman. This one we're citing the chairman himself, Wafula Chebukati, because even after the court made a ruling that independent presidential candidates should be included on the ballot, instead of him accommodating these candidates, he went further to suppress them. So this is denying other Kenyans a chance to be on the ballot. And we believe that the 8 million Kenyans who did not vote, that apathy was as a result of those candidates who were locked out of the election. People did not see the need to wake up and go and vote for the candidates who are on the ballot. And this we have explained in our petition, and I hope the court is going to look into the issues we have raised and give a just ruling.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Let's listen to bunge likuwa wazi, naona tuko na mtu kwenye line. You can make a switch to this other side. Yes. Alafu haya, bunge la mwananchi jambo. Okay, huyu tayari ashapota. Bunge la mwananchi liko wazi, nambari ni 779-800-010 au 779-800-010 au 779-800-010 au 779-800-010. I also want to make it very clear that any disrespectful comments you're going to see, you will be banned. By the way, we don't fear laws here. We are not respectful enough, you shall be banned. We don't fear laws here. It's better to have 10 people watching who are respectful and can have a conventional decorum than 1,000 people who have no respect even for themselves. So if you're going to lack self-discipline, morals, then sisi tutakutoa tu hapa. Hatuogopi. Bunge la mwananchi jambo. Bunge la mwananchi, good morning. Tafadhali unijoin please, zima on the background please. Unijoin please, switch off the background noise. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Salama boss, mambo vipi?
Niko salama. Sasa, I don't know whether it's a maroon or a red beret that guy is wearing, that's threatening to security of the nation. Anyway, that is by the way. Salimia Gloria.
Gloria amechomoka.
Amechomoka.
Lakini
actually, I wanted to ask if indeed she said that Mombasa County gubernatorial election was postponed due to Sonko's case. That is not true. I don't think that is true. I think the IPC has the right to postpone election based on the circumstances that surround that election. Yeah, and I think I wanted to respond to that. Then I think he can't say that Raila, the new team has not provided the evidence. I think you cannot say now that they have what they have provided is fake. It is only a court of law that can say whether it is true or not. But for now, we can't say who is wrong, who is true. And you see, the court is going to give the petition and the response both qualitative and quantitative approach. So I've got nothing to do with what somebody is saying. What they are saying now is somebody can say I hear say, but like now, you know what happens in a pretrial. That is they are going to do today.
Yes.
So in a pretrial is what we call pretrial review. Pretrial is like this one is a presidential election, so it is complex. In a pretrial review, it is if the case is complex, or the trial is expected to be lengthy. So I think the aim of that pretrial today is to make sure that the trial is proceed efficiently, particularly areas of dispute being identified, and then they narrow down to possible areas so that it does not cover almost everything. So they are going to specific areas. So the trial of today, they are going to narrow down to the specific areas that are of interest, of great interest, to make that case either be heard or be thrown away. So that is why they are even thrown out other petitions like that of Mukura, because if court allows almost everything to go to court, then they will not have that time. So So they need to be specific, and then because of this is a very important case, they also need time to know the truth.
Okay.
If you allow Dick and Harry to come with their own allegations and everything, and then you can even take a year before determining the election. So I think what they are going to do is very important. And let's just wait for the outcome. If indeed there is a challenge to do with the numbers, then we'll just get from the court, because I believe that the Kenya Kwanza has lined up a very strong defense that will put a very good case. So let's hope for the best. But for now, we cannot blame any party. We can't blame any party. We are not part of Azimio, neither part of Kenya Kwanza, and then we are not even IEBC. Okay. So to speak on behalf of the four commissioners that's a fallacy. To speak on behalf of Chebukati, we don't really understand or know what exactly transpired before that day. So we leave it to Chebukati or to the commission and other commissioners.
Okay.
Tell us what exactly. And again, somebody say that I heard Gloria saying that some security were trying to impose or to force Chebukati. It is not possible for the same government who is giving Chebukati protection is the same government who is coming to force him. If indeed the security was to force Chebukati to announce the other part, I don't think Chebukati could have gone, because the whole place was secured by security. They could have taken that paper. They could have even told Chebukati to announce at gunpoint. Okay. So let's give our security their due respect. Let's not drag them into, because if you are now dragging military into our politics, then you're making a blunder. I don't think if military were to go to bombers and say we all want this person, they could have done it their way. Nobody could have stopped them. So let's not drag in. I don't like this politics or dragging the security and all that. If our side wins, like if the Kenya Kwanza, we still need those security people. Even if we change them, we still need people. So let's not make it like there's somebody who was somewhere coordinating other activity. I think if there was somebody somewhere, it was the politicians or it was the politicians that were doing. But let's give respect to our security agencies. They have done it from the day one. We have the best intelligence, we have the best security officers, we have the best KDF guys. So to bring them into politics, I think they have restrained themselves. They have done it so well. It could have gone. It could have gotten worse in 2007, even in 2013, even in 2020, even this one. So I don't buy that narrative. Let's deal with the politicians themselves. Let us not drag everybody into their mess. If they mess, this is war is between. In fact, it is between Raila, Uhuru, and Ruto. Nobody else. So let the three gentlemen battle it out themselves.
Okay.
I leave Kenya in peace. By the way, we are very peaceful. The person who is preaching peace, I did not even like the idea of taking the whole choir into bombers, trying to pray. We've been living peace. It is people who are telling us to be peaceful that provoke that peace. Because when you start preaching peace, it means there must be something that we don't understand. It is not a life and death. Let people just live the way they are supposed. We've been living together without this politics. So when it comes to politics, they start telling people live with your neighbor. It is them who are making us to live in fear. When you start telling somebody just be peaceful, all these things, we've been living together peacefully. Why do you want us why do you want to preach peace after 5 years? Is when you come 1 day to 1 month, you're preaching peace. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, asante.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So tell them, Mheshimiwa boss, you tell them. I don't like the idea of people telling us to live in peace. We are peaceful country. Now we are at peace. Why do you keep on repeating to us that we need to live in peace, as if we don't know that peace? It is you people who are making us to start believing what is this peace that now you are bringing that you did not bring in 2019 or in 2020. How come in 2022 you start speaking the peace?
Okay. Yeah.
Arrest my case.
Thank you, sir. 0779-800-010. 0779-800-010. 0779-800-010. Bari, Bungala Mwanyanchi, 0779-800-010. Umesikia wananchi Bob?
Very good comments from the speaker. I think he's speaking to the fact that Kenyans have also matured to a level whereby Kenyans now are ready to not just to go out in the streets whenever there's a dispute and protest, but actually to sit back and use the processes that are provided for within the Constitution, such as this Supreme Court matter. I think so far so good, because the speaker is talking about peace and that people are preaching about peace. I think the reason why the issue of peace is being talked about at this point, we remember in 2007, we remember in 2017 what happened just after the elections. It was a period like this when all hell broke loose. We don't want to go back to such situations in the country. We saw that in a time of crisis, there is no winner. All Kenyans are losers because the economy gets down to its knees, the social cohesion breaks down, there is no law and order, and this is a perfect recipe for downfall of a nation. In 2017, we had the same issues coming about, and where some Kenyans were saying we have to divide this country into two. And those are the situations we are saying at this moment in 2022, Kenyans should not go that direction, irrespective of the outcome of this election. Be it William Ruto, be it Raila Odinga or any other person, Kenya belongs to all of us. So I echo the sentiments that indeed we have to, Kenya is bigger than any one individual, and we should not be directed to fighting and destroying our country. Elections are supposed to build a country. And even after the elections, we are supposed to be more united than we were before. But again, the process of the election has to be free and fair. We cannot circumvent that and say that irrespective of the outcome, what matters is we have a president. No, the elections need to be credible. And I think even the IBC has attempted to do or demonstrated that the election can be free and fair by Wafula Chebukati making the results public on the portal. Remember, in the last elections, what we had was the issue of the server, whereby the servers were in France. But this election, they have tried to change that system by
bringing the server to your sitting room,
making it public. Even right now, if I want to access, it is still available. Now, let us leave it to the wisdom of the courts to look through the issues. Those who are saying the election has been stolen need to prove how it has been stolen. And Kenyans are watching so that in the event that indeed there were irregularities, they will be able to be seen in the Supreme Court, because everybody has their fair chance to
prosecute it.
To prosecute. So let's be patient. Let's be tolerant, what we call political tolerance. And especially on social media, I'm seeing a lot of hate speech going on online. And I think the NCIC, it is at this point that they need to be seen effectively monitoring and trying to bring the country together. We need to see them coming out with religious leaders, doing more of interventions, peace interventions. Because at the end of the day, this is a country that we all belong, irrespective of the outcome. I am hopeful that the Supreme Court will provide justice in this matter. And I think Kenyans are all expectant that we shall be able to move on together, united as a country. Yeah.
All right. Ravi, you have any other comments as we go home? What do we start from Free Kenya Movement?
Yeah, Free Kenya Movement has been popularizing the space for independent candidates. And it is just, that's why we have an issue with the IBC. And we took them to court on that matter, which I've already spoken about. The issue is that we need to liberate this country even from the same political parties. We are talking about independence movement. I believe that right now we have 12 candidates who are MPs, who are independent. We have 2 governors in Meru and Taita Taveta, and a number of MCAs. I hope that as we move towards the 2027 elections, the independent movement and space will grow exponentially. as an alternative and a credible alternative to the current formations, which are very biased in terms of their nature. It is a safe space for all Kenyans, especially the youth, the women. And as a Free Kenya movement, we are reaching out to all Kenyans to tell them that indeed there is a better alternative to the current leadership and the status quo. And we believe that given an opportunity, and if independent candidates were on the ballot, they would have been able to present a different narrative to Kenyans. Okay. But that story now will be left to the courts for them to see if we shall go back to the elections or not. Last, I just want to say that we have had missions like the observer missions that also took part in this election, and they gave reports which we have seen them to be a bit. We've seen the African mission, they sanitized the elections, the ELOG observers sanitized the elections. So these are the other stakeholders we need also to bring on board, because the political parties are all partisan. They don't give a very objective view of the status quo. Yeah, so it is important that the other stakeholders come up, even in this petition, and as interested parties are able to either weigh in their views. They have the civil society that is also very quiet. What is their stake in this election? What is their view? And I think they should be part of this process, even in the Supreme Court. Yes. Yes.
All right. We are hoping to see what's going to roll out from the Supreme Court as it begins the pre-trial today. That will be for the next 5 days. We'll be hearing about all the Latin and English jurisprudence. You'll be listening to all those English for the next 5 days as both parties present the evidence before the courts for a decision to be made. I want to urge every Kenyan to remain calm and wait for the courts to make a ruling. I mean, you say it, we already moved on. Let's focus on other things. Let the politicians fight it out in the courts. It's not our business. Wanasiasa waende kotini, wangangane. Sisi wa Kenya tuzidi kungangana na kazi yetu ambayo inatuweka. Look at the traffic situation on the roads. Magadi way looks very bad this morning. It doesn't look very good. All the way from the Defense Memorial Hospital, traffic inakama imeshika kabisa, heading in towards all the way to the Alingam roundabout at the Total Portal Station. Ngong Road not looking bad this morning. Nothing to worry about. Ngong Road, Kingara Road looking clean as well. Nothing to worry about. Kingara Road. Kitanga Road looks clean as well. James Kishu Road all the way to Waiyaki Way. There seems to be some little traffic between Muzima Springs Junction, heading in towards Mutsangari Police Station, and also the Waiyaki Way overpass at the ABC place. There seems to be some little traffic. Look at the Waiyaki Way inbound into town. Looks all clean. Nothing to worry about this morning on Waiyaki Way. Okay. Looking at Thika Road, Thika, there's some little traffic. Not much today. Some little traffic from Mathare Hospital heading into the Mathaiga overpass. Kiambura looks all clean this morning. Nothing to really worry about. Limuru Road. Limuru Road looks all clean. Nothing to worry about on Limuru Road. Mombasa Road looks clean as well. Nothing to worry about on Mombasa Road. Outer Ring Road. Some traffic. Some little traffic heading towards Donholm, and also Jogoo Road, some little traffic from Makadara heading towards the city stadium roundabout, but nothing to really worry about this morning. Let me know what the situation is on your roads, but for far, that is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. Articles at 7:30 p.m. Kenyan time. Yes, tonight on 30th August, Meguna will be coming at 7:30 p.m. Articles at excellent broadcast. Next is Meguna 7:30 p.m. Tune in. We'll be waiting. There will be told Kenya waiting for Meguna Sante. There's a Benja all the way from Dubai. Watching from Dubai? From Doha. I think you're going to be coming in waiting for the show as well. Atticus now, Gerald, by allowing us mere callers to speak, you are truly helping all of Kenya. At the end of it all, Sisi wa Kenya, Sisi Raia are together, up kwa ground. We should all stay accountable. Therapy is important. Let us mere supporters ask questions. They will see the truth of how their leadership failed and betrayed them. But more importantly, they will see other Kenyans love them too. All right? I think we had this gentleman speaking in. All right. It's been a pleasure having you. I still want to remind you that we're giving you a trial of 1 month. If you have a content idea that has been nudging you for some time and you'd want to make it a reality, kama kuna content ambao umekuwa ukikaa ukisema I would love to do something, I would love to do some content, I would like to do a podcast, I would love to do a broadcast, I would love to do this and that. If you have that dream that you want to see become a reality, please join us. You can come to our studio, you talk to Steve, and then I'm on the screen was 777-767-115. Or kutambua utembeo offices zetu, the 9 Plants Apartments, That is on S2, the ground floor. Steve alafu mpanga hapo in Penny. For those guys who have signed up as well, we'll be waiting to see what you guys are able to do. Giving a month trial. From there, you can decide whether you subscribe ama kutakuwa namna gani. We still want to remind you as well that tonight at 7:30 p.m. we have the general himself, Meguna, all the way from Canada, Ontario, Canada, joining us this evening to bring also into perspective the political happenings that are happening and also what he thinks the future looks like for Kenya. Until then, Jagi, uko na parting shot, tackle of the day?
Yeah, parting shot is to the independent leaders who are elected on an independent ticket. Your responsibility is to the people of Kenya. You're voted directly by the people. Be loyal to the people. I want to encourage those who are already in parliament and those who are in the county assemblies to work together as independents for the benefit of the people. Last but not least, I want to say that all Kenyans, we are a peaceful nation. We have been together throughout these years, through the ups and downs. Irrespective of the court outcome, we are ready to proceed as a country, leaving no one behind. I do hope whoever wins in this petition can win with humility, and whoever loses also accepts the loss. And I pray that God shall guide and keep us together as a country. Those are my parting words.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Maybe you can get to the promo on Meguna as we head home. It's been a pleasure having you. This is a tackle. It ends right now. See you again at 7:30 p.m. with Dr. Meguna all the way from Ontario, Canada. Till then, bye-bye. Take care.
From the home of bold, credible and informed interviews, we bring you the indefatigable general himself, Dr. Miguna. Since the dawn of democracy in our republic, we have had fiercely patriotic citizens. J.M. Kariuki, Dr. Robert Ouko, Tom Mboya, Kenneth Matiba, amongst others, but none as relentless as Dr. Miguna. Join us on Tuesday, 30th August at 7:30 p.m. as we host the General live on Facebook and YouTube, and follow the conversation on Twitter, #TheTackleWithGeraldBitok, as we dissect matters governance and the rule of law. Mark that date. From the home of bold, credible and informed interviews, we bring you the indefatigable general himself, Dr. Miguna. Since the dawn of democracy in our republic, we have had fiercely patriotic citizens. J.M. Kariuki, Dr. Robert Ouko, Tom Mboya, Kenneth Matiba, amongst others, but none as relentless as Dr. Miguna. Join us on Tuesday, 30th August at 7:30 p.m. as we host the General live on Facebook and YouTube, and follow the conversation on Twitter, #TheTackleWithGeraldBitok, as we dissect matters governance and the rule of law. Mark that date.